Hey guys, so today I thought I would do a video of my final impressions of Nisse Monogatari, which is the 11 episode series from Shaft that aired in winter 2012 and just finished today really. I'm going to be doing this review a little bit differently to how I usually review things because I think if you are at all interested in watching Nisse Monogatari, you would have seen Bakemonogatari by now. In that case, you'll probably know about the story and the characters, so I'm not really going to explain those too much. And if you haven't seen Bakemonogatari, I really highly recommend it. If you want to carry on watching this video, it's going to be spoiler free, so that's absolutely fine. I'm not going to spoil anything for you if you want to carry on watching. So the big question with Nisse Monogatari is, did it live up to Bakemonogatari and was it as good? And I guess the short answer is not really, not for me at least anyway. I really didn't think it was as good as Bakemonogatari, but we'll come at this from different angles and I'll put my positives and negatives into this. I kind of feel like this series is a little bit like when you're on a bus and there is like nothing happening, but someone's having a conversation and you're just listening into that conversation because there's literally nothing else going off, and that's exactly what I feel like Nisse Monogatari is. What I mean by that is it's really very dialogue heavy, and it's interesting dialogue, but that's really all there is to it because there's not really a lot of other stuff going off in this show. I don't feel like a lot of things actually happened at all in this series. To its credit, I think the fact that it could keep me interested for 25 minutes a week, regardless of the fact that it was just like a 25-minute long conversation between people who I have no attachment to, is a really big achievement, especially from someone like me who really enjoys like lots of action and lots of plot development and stuff, and this show didn't have that, but I still really found it interesting and enjoyable. It's extremely well written. I think it had this like artistic feel to it that I don't think I've really ever seen in anything else before, and leading on from that, the art style and animation is fantastic, and I want to say flawless, and I don't use that word very lightly, but it was just so good to watch. I managed to watch an episode in 1080p before my internet started to hate me and I never did it again, but it looked so good. Well, I said I wasn't going to talk about characters. There are two new characters in this series that I really want to talk about, and that is Karen and Tsukihi. So a lot of the focus of this series I felt was on Karen rather than Tsukihi, which was kind of a shame because I liked them both, but I felt a lot more attached to Karen because there were a lot more developments with her, I guess. But regardless of that, I actually really liked both of these characters. I thought they were both really interesting and enjoyable to watch. And I think I mentioned this in my first impressions of Nisse Monogatari, but the voice actors are amazing. I think that the fact that they can perform like that and portray the characters that well just makes it so much more immersive for me. I think that the acting is just so impressive. I have more issues with this show than I thought I would, and that makes me a bit sad, and I know it's not because I've not read the light novel series, because I haven't. So it's not because I haven't read the light novels, shut up. I personally found the massive amounts of incestuous vibes in this show really uncomfortable. The reason for that is because I have two older brothers, and I have been in a situation where I have been a 5-year-old girl, I've been really whiny and upset, and my brother has had to brush my teeth for me. Not pleasant knowing that people... no. So basically watching those particular scenes for me was just really awkward and uncomfortable and was just very unpleasant for me, and sadly it kind of did detract from what I thought of the show on a whole. I also found that I was actually thinking this show is going to focus a lot more on the Fire Sisters rather than Araragi having a 3-episode walk and just finding people along the way. It felt like those 3 episodes were sort of there just to remind you of these characters that were in Bakemonogatari, like, oh look, we're still here. And it was a very long introduction to characters who were already plenty memorable, and the thing that really annoyed me about it was couple of those characters never came into the show again and were just so unimportant in the Nisse Monogatari story that it was just pointless. And another thing is I don't feel that this series was particularly for people who hadn't seen Bakemonogatari, so I don't know why those introductions were necessary. The last big negative that I have with this show is that I found that the ends to both of the arcs were actually really anticlimactic. Again, where I like action, I was expecting these storylines and these conflicts to come to a massive, incredible conclusion, and they just fell flat, and they didn't do that. It was very boring, in my opinion. I feel like I am incredibly biased towards this show because I do love this series. I think it's fantastic. It's so well written. But if this was any other show, I don't think I would have rated it as highly as I did. I probably would have given it 4 or 5 if it wasn't Nisse Monogatari, but because it is, I rated it a lot higher on my anime list. So I guess the fact that they managed to draw me in with Bakemonogatari is a good thing. A positive that I actually had with this is it all came out on time. Ah, well done, Shaft, well done, I'm proud of you. So, for any Bakemonogatari fans who haven't seen this, I do highly recommend it, and you can go and watch it on Crunchyroll right now. And the last thing I want to say is I keep hearing that this is actually the worst out of the lot of the novels, and everyone says that the other ones are better, and it's going to get better. And if that's the case, bring it on, Shaft. I definitely enjoyed Nisei Monogatari and I can't wait for Kizumonogatari now. So that's all I have to say on the series. If you have any thoughts that you would like to let me know about, tell me down below, and I'll be doing a lot more final impressions videos over the next few weeks. So that's it. I will see you guys next time.